On today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, will and should Disney finally and ultimately do a sequel to Big Hero 6? Also, there's a new Jurassic World movie coming maybe as early as next year, but it's being written by the original Jurassic Park writer. Also, Netflix just scored a huge win. Whether you're a wrestling fan or not, they got the rights to Monday Night Raw for a 10-year contract. We're going to go over that. Also, a new report's coming out saying that the Fantastic Four is not only cast, but all the contracts are locked, and they're about to announce that cast any moment now. Avatar: The Last Airbender has just dropped their first full amazing trailer, and the Oscar nominations have come out. Oppenheimer leads the way with 13 nominations. That and a whole bunch more. The John Campea Show podcast starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming to you from right here in our quaint little studio, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around so we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff, not just giving you our opinions, but also giving you some information and context so you guys can form your own well-informed opinions, whether they're the same or completely different than ours. Joining me in studio today, we got Ray Ora.
Total power, baby.
We got Jonathan Voico.
What up?
Chris Carr is here.
Hey, everybody.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thanks so much for making this show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about those predetermined topics I listed off. Then in the last part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you guys have a thought, comment, question, whatever, and you're watching live, and you got to be watching live, go ahead and use the super chat feature and send it on in, and we'll address those at or near the end of the show. All right, guys. Oscar nomination day, huh? Woo! I'm sure there's going to be a lot to talk about that a little bit later. But before we get to all that stuff, let's lead off with this. You know, almost 10 years ago, a little movie called Big Hero 6 came out. A movie that I actually enjoyed quite a bit. Actually, if you take a look at this, I don't know if some of you remember, this was me with Genesis Rodriguez and Jamie Chung. Of course, Jamie in the middle there. She's Anne's sorority sister. They go back. Yeah, they go back a long ways there. And they're, of course, stars of Big Hero 6. I loved this movie. I thought it was great. Mm-hmm. I also thought, like a lot of other people, it's kind of strange that they never got a sequel. Well, that is the topic of today's Mint Mobile hotline question of the day. Listen, if you guys have a thought or a question for our show, and you'd like to hear your voice on our show as well, go ahead and call our Mint Mobile hotline anytime 24/7 at 951-268-4259. And today's question is about Big Hero 6. Check.
Hey, John and crew. It's Logan from Massachusetts. I just saw a report on Screen Rant that Big Hero 6 is the highest grossing Disney movie without a sequel. Do you think we could see a potential sequel in the future, or do you think that Big Hero 6 will be the only movie with the characters that will come out? Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
All right, Logan, thanks a lot for calling that in. And it is kind of crazy. Listen, Disney, and not just Disney, all studios love doing sequels, right? Sequels equal money. You got recognizable IP. Doesn't always equal success, but it gives you a pretty darn good chance of success. And success is what Big Hero 6 had. Take a look at this. I mean, they had a 90% critic score. Everybody liked it. I believe the audience score was somewhere around 91 as well.
Yep.
And while it was not the biggest box office hit they ever had, the film made $657 million at the box office. Now, to put that a little bit into perspective, the MCU's The Marvels didn't get out of the 200s. Aquaman 2, a follow-up to a billion-dollar film, is barely going to get 400. We've been celebrating the success of Wonka cracking the $500 million mark. This movie, $657 million, making it the highest grossing Disney animated film to never get a sequel. Now, it's not like they didn't follow it up. There was some television animated stuff they had. Baymax, of course, was an adorable, he was like an early version of Baby Yoda. Everybody loved Baymax and wanted to have a little Baymax. And of course, Baymax is adorable. And I love this movie. I really did. But do I think they will ever actually do a sequel? Let's get back to the first thing I said about this movie. It came out in 2014. And the reality is I don't really hear anybody talking about it much. It's a movie that every month that passes that we don't get word of a sequel, I think lessens and lessens. And I think we're at the point now that we're just, no, I don't think we're ever going to truly get a theatrical sequel to this movie. I hope we do. I really enjoy this film. I want to see more of it. So I hope we do. But I don't think we will. I think that ship has sailed. Chris, what did you think about that Big Hero 6 movie, and where do you think the chances sit right now of us getting a true theatrical sequel to it?
Well, the original film is adorable. It's so far removed from its source material, but what they did with
so
it,
far removed.
Very, very different. If you pick up those comics, you are not going to get the same story, you guys. But definitely check it out. It came out in '98. It's really fun.
Yeah, and Baymax is very different.
Super different. Oh my gosh! You are not getting a sweet little robot saying things like "Hairy baby."
And wasn't Sunfire
Sunfire and
was
Big
part
Hero
of it,
6? Yeah. And that was released by Marvel back in '98. Yeah. So this show technically did get a sequel because there was an animated series done in 2D animation that ran from 2017 to 2021, if I'm not mistaken. And it didn't have great reception. It did get nominated for several Annie Awards, and it did win one back in 2018. But if you go check out the Rotten Tomatoes score for this, the audience reception of this was about 59%. People weren't in love with this. It does take place immediately after the events of the movie, but I just don't think it, one, really hit home with audiences. They did change it stylistically too. We went from that 3D animation to the 2D. And you also have to remember around this time, everyone started getting obsessed with Frozen, right?
Yeah.
It kind of dominated everything. Same thing with movies like Tangled that I think are vastly superior to Frozen. That got an animated series as well instead of a sequel, which we should have gotten. I do think the ship has sailed here, which is such a shame because the post-credit scene of that movie was so fabulous. With Fred going in and Stan Lee being his dad, revealing there was some secret. I wanted to see more of that on the screen, on the big screen that is. But I think the ship has sailed on it, unfortunately. It was just so fun because it was so different, so original, and I really enjoyed it. And San Francisco was so
it was
cool.
awesome.
I love the design of that. I want that at Disney.
And I would say that the distance between the first movie and now, I mean, Incredibles 1 and Incredibles 2, they're 14 years apart.
That's true.
But they were not in the zeitgeist. I mean, they were in the zeitgeist, whereas, you know, Big Hero 6 is sort of like, it had its moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, like after the first Incredibles, every year people were asking,
when's
where's
it
the
coming?
next Incredibles?
Yeah.
Where's for 14 years? Like Big Hero 6, as much as I adored it, it does not have that kind of zeitgeist presence, right? So the answer is, I love this movie. I thought it was charming and delightful and fun, but and hopefully, fingers crossed, they do it someday, but I just don't think they're ever going to do one, unfortunately. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, in the midst of us doing our show yesterday, a little piece of news dropped about the next Jurassic World movie. Number one, there's going to be another Jurassic World movie.
Yay.
But here's the exciting part. It's being penned by the guy who wrote the screenplay for the original and clearly best Jurassic movie, Jurassic Park.
Nice.
That was the big thing. This comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter, who wrote the following. Although it's been 2 years since the last time dinosaurs roamed the Earth in 2022's Jurassic World Dominion, Universal Pictures has hardly kept its biggest franchise trapped in amber. The studio is deep into the development of an all-new Jurassic World movie that has David Coop, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, back at the keyboard. Coop was the writer of the original 1993 Jurassic Park, famously directed by Steven Spielberg, and its sequel, 1997's Jurassic Park: The Lost World. The project, you're going to have to lose my picture there, Jonathan.
Oh, yeah.
The project...
Come on, there we go.
There it is. Which has been flying under the radar, is far enough along, and the script is well-liked shape that the studio is whispering about a possible 2025 release date, which for those keeping track of the calendar is now officially next year. All right. So where does this leave us? Bryce Dallas Howard, we talked about this a little bit on yesterday's show. Bryce Dallas Howard, a couple of months ago, when asked about the potential future of the Jurassic universe, she said, oh, there's going to be more Jurassic films, be sure, but it's going to be a new cast. Like, we're done. Now, nothing in the press reports here are saying if any of the original cast members or any of the Jurassic World members will come back. Maybe there will be one or two appearances. But again, nothing being in there, and Bryce Dallas Howard saying, no, it's going to be a whole new cast of characters. They're probably going to jump forward a couple of years, and it's going to be a whole new story to tell, and all that kind of stuff. The question then becomes, should they do another Jurassic World movie? And I would say yes. Why is the answer obviously yes? Because despite the fact that the last one wasn't all that great, people flocked to it. That movie, which I think everybody will agree is not the best Jurassic movie, made over $1 billion. What does that tell you? It tells you there is still very much a hunger for the giant dinosaur movies. I mean, whether you or I or anybody liked the last one, I kind of liked the one before that. I got to admit, I kind of did. I wasn't a big fan of the last one they did, but even then, even when it's subpar, the audiences are flocking out. So if the audiences want it and they're there to support it and you're guaranteed to make money, make another one. Go for it. And now with them loosening themselves from the shackles of being connected to the previous films, you kind of get a fresh take, and the fact that you're bringing in the guy who wrote the best Jurassic movie. So I got to tell you what, I'm kind of excited about this. It actually coming out next year sounds ambitious, but I'm down for this. Chris, you heard about this. What are your initial thoughts?
So he did write Jurassic Park, and he wrote Spider-Man and Panic Room, all kinds of great things.
Yeah.
He also wrote Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull and Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny.
Right.
So,
Now,
I mean, Logan
granted, with
So
Crystal
this is his
Skull
favorite
there,
writer.
he was directed by George Lucas about what the story was supposed to be.
Fair. Fair. But I'm just going to he also did The Mummy, the Tom Cruise Mummy.
Which I don't think was as bad as other people make it out to be.
Oh, that is...
I
Do you have
stand
an opinion?
by that. It's
That is an
not as bad
opinion.
as people make
All
it
right.
out
Oh,
to
it
be.
absolutely is.
Do we have
but hey,
Exhibit C? Do we have Exhibit C? Because those two haven't cracked yet.
we're so preoccupied with asking if we could. We didn't bother to ask if we
We
should.
should.
So obviously, this is such a fruitful franchise. Even when the films aren't great, it's a tombstone pizza kind of thing, right? You always want to go see dinosaurs eat people. Robert Meyer Burnett says it best. Dinosaurs eating people. If you just add ninjas into it, it'd be the best movie in the
Perfect
world.
movie.
Right? So I
Enter
obviously...
Deadpool 3.
Yeah. Obviously, they're going to make more of these movies. I just am going to not get my hopes super up. Obviously, everyone's entitled to a bad day at the office. Not every screenplay is going to be incredible. But he has had some swing and a misses for me. So hopefully we get back to the roots of what makes Jurassic Park great. Just dinosaurs eating people. And we don't do some weird left field things, because some of the choices in those later movies are so freaking weird to me and so unnecessary, like Clone Girl and all kinds of stuff. I don't know. It all got so weird. I just want it to be simple theme park chomping on tourists. That's all I want. And I think removing it from this core cast is the right move to do, so it can be its own entity.
It's going to be interesting if they actually truly now move forward in time a little bit, because it is still going to be the same world. It's the same world as the other ones. It's not a reboot.
Mm-hmm.
So if they do move it forward a couple of years, and it's just like kind of an examination of the world has learned to live with the fact that dinosaurs are in that park up the street. And sometimes the dinosaur is picking garbage out of my trash can in my backyard in the evening or something along those lines. But then, something goes wrong. Well, of course, that's otherwise you don't have a movie. I think it could be interesting. We'll see again. But I think ever since Jurassic Park 2, I think everybody going into a Jurassic movie has the understanding, let's not get our hopes too high. I think that's kind of been the mantra for movie audiences going to them, but keep going, we do. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? Whether you are a big professional wrestling fan or not, or have been at some point in your life, you know that wrestling is big business. And the world of WWE and pro wrestling on television is also big business. We've heard a lot of deals the last number of years, some very big money deals that have been talked about and batted around and stuff like this. There's also a streaming war going on between behemoths like Warner Brothers, Netflix, Disney, Amazon, stuff like that. And one of the big trends recently has been live streamers or streamers trying to get into live sports. More and more, we've been seeing streamers trying to pick up and make live sports a part of their offerings. Well, now you can add sports entertainment to that, because in what is considered by a lot of people shocking news, Netflix just got Monday Night Raw. This comes to us from Variety, who wrote the following. In a major shakeup, WWE has struck a deal with Netflix that will see its flagship weekly live pro wrestling show being aired exclusively on Netflix beginning in January of 2025, so in 1 year. That will mark the first time in its 3-decade history that Raw has not aired new episodes on a traditional linear television network. The deal, get this, is valued at $500 million per year for 10 years.
Damn.
That is a $5 billion deal. Starting 2025 to air exclusively on Netflix. This is obviously good for the WWE. That's $500 million in revenue right there every year, even if you just sit at home and smoke weed. But
All right, I'm in.
How do I do this?
Yeah.
how is this a career path, and how have I not heard about it?
You have my interest and my attention. Let's go.
But I would submit that this is a much bigger win for Netflix. Because in the streaming war, where every little inch and every little angle is huge, Netflix just guaranteed itself that all the wrestling fans...
Damn, he leaned into that one.
They want to watch their Monday Night Raw? They better sign up for one of them Netflix accounts.
Yes, darn it.
Even the cheaper one.
Oh, man.
Because it's going to be there. This is huge for Netflix. This really isn't a WWE story. This is a Netflix story, and this is massive for them. And I think it's kind of a, canary in the coal mine situation where it is telling us what's to come. I think we're going to, in the coming days and weeks, like I said, we've already seen a lot of streamers, but I think we're going to hear about Netflix and other of these big streamers making big moves. We just had an NFL football game not stream on a traditional, or not air on a traditional linear television network. It was only on Peacock. That was, I think, like the first time ever.
Mm.
And now other games have been on Peacock, but they've also been on NBC or showed elsewhere. But this was big, and I think this is a sign of things to come. Chris, as somebody who a little bit of a wrestling background yourself,
I love it.
I was stunned, honestly stunned when I saw this news. What do you take away from this, and who's the biggest winner in this?
I think this is so very smart. The winners are Netflix and me. I only have Peacock, so I can watch wrestling. That's the only reason why I have that.
Really?
I don't use it for anything else. So I think this is a very, very big win. WrestleNomics actually reported back in December of 2023 that one of their Raws drew in 1.562 million views.
Dang. Just like this.
And I know a lot of people think that wrestling is kind of hokey or gimmicky or ridiculous. That's exactly why it's fun. It's unbridled fun and weirdness and wackiness. It is cosplaying with fights. I am here for it. I love it so freaking much. And I think this is a great move for Netflix. I think this is super, super fun to have them doing something live, something that will get people coming back week after week, because we always talk about here, the whole water cooler aspect of Netflix has been wildly problematic. If you drop an entire season of a show, like that's the one I usually kind of refer to, you talk about it that week and then you never talk about it again. And if you're going to be one of those people who jumps on board with a subscription just to watch a show, that binge method works for you to get in, get out, right? While you're doing your free trial or something. This is going to help people stick around, I think, especially at a time when all of these prices are going up on all of your subscriptions. You have to add value. You have to add weekly shows that you're going to watch. And this is a really, really smart move.
Is this the first time that Netflix has done live streaming, events? Do we know?
They've attempted to with Love is Blind.
Okay.
The reunion show was supposed to be live,
yeah, that
and then
had
that
problems.
got really problematic. Yeah.
Right. But they and the other streamers have already indicated they want to get more into live events and things like this, which is pretty cool. Now, what makes this particularly lucrative and brilliant on Netflix's part is that quite often when we hear about some big expensive movie being a direct-to-streaming movie, we will often ask the question. It's like, okay, that movie that Netflix is making sounds kind of nice, but is anybody who's not already signed up to Netflix going to sign up to Netflix just so they can watch that movie? And usually my answer is no. There's a hell of a lot of people who are not currently Netflix subscribers that are going to become Netflix subscribers because this deal got made. Now, it's kind of weird to talk about a deal like this that doesn't actually take effect for a year. So we're still like a year away. But I mean, this is huge. And I think a really big turning point in the streaming wars. And good on WWE. By the way, little side note, this is kind of fun. Some of you may have remembered this news came out a little while ago that there's one company that now owns WWE and the UFC. Own them together. One company owns them. And they just appointed their newest board of directors member. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is now a member of the board, which means technically he is now Vince McMahon's boss.
You're talking about
in a way.
TKO Group Holdings?
I think, yeah, that's who
Yes.
owns it now. I think they purchased it from Endeavor or something like that.
Ah, it's good to see he landed on his feet.
Yeah, it's good to
so
see that he.
Real
I
worried
was
about
worried
him.
about The
God.
Rock there. How's he going to pay his bills?
You know, somebody with such little work ethic. Gosh, it's really
And so little
rough.
going on.
Yeah,
He's got that new football league too, the UFL, and
No.
stuff
such
like
a
that.
smart
He's
businessman.
just all over the place. All right. With that down, guys, we still got to talk about, apparently there's a report going around saying the Fantastic Four full casting announcement is coming any minute now. Also, Avatar: The Last Airbender just dropped their first full trailer, and I am all about it. And Oppenheimer leads the way with 13 Oscar nominations. We're going to go over the nominees, but before we do, we're going to take a quick second here and thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Mint Mobile and Manscaped. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. On average, it takes about 30 days for a person to break their New Year's resolution. So if saving money was on your 2024 list, your odds aren't looking that great. Luckily, I have a 100% guaranteed way to save you money this year. Just switch to Mint Mobile. For a limited time, wireless plans from Mint Mobile are $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for $15 a month. I've told you guys many times that after switching to Mint Mobile, I am spending less than a third on my cell bill than I used to with a major carrier. Say goodbye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. All Mint plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And don't worry about having to change phones or numbers. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. So guys, to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bills to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Manscaped. Roses are red, violets are blue. Trim your balls, and your date will thank us too. What's up, guys? Valentine's Day is knocking, and Manscaped is the remedy for what the love doctor ordered. His prescription? The all-new Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, designed to elevate your grooming game and shine like the beast you are. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com to get 20% off plus free shipping with the code Campea. Guys, listen, like a lot of you, I used to shave my package like the Neanderthals did, using, the clippers on your electric razor, but that's not what you need for excellence on Valentine's Day. So let's talk about the hero of Valentine's Day, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. This electric trimmer features skin-safe technology guarding your Valentine's Day treasure against any grooming mishaps. This package also features the Weed Whacker 2.0 nose and hair trimmer, Manscaped liquid formulations, and 2 free goodies, the Shed Travel Bag and Boxers 2.0, because comfort is king for all my guys. So elevate your grooming game routine and set the stage for a romantically smooth celebration. So guys, get 20% off and free shipping with the code Campea at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code Campea because your grooming upgrade awaits, ready to charm your Valentine's dates. And thank you to my mobile service provider, Mint Mobile, and of course, Manscaped, for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to this, shall we? And we got the Dunes, we got Deadpool 3s, we got a bunch, but one of the most anticipated movies right now, at least it's got a lot of people's curiosity, is Fantastic Four. The world celebrated in joyous harmony when they made that announcement on that now legendary Disney Investor Day call thing where they announced about 1,000 things. About 200 of those have fallen by the wayside by now, but Fantastic Four coming to the MCU. That was a big one. So, of course, that sparked off years worth of speculation of Who's going to play Ben Grimm? Who's going to be Sue Storm? Who's going to be Johnny Storm? Who's going to be Reed Richards? Who's going to be Dr. Doom? These have been the questions that have kept people up at night and having parents tell tales to their children. Anyway. Lost Ray.
Oh, sorry. We're talking about Fantastic Four.
Lost Ray.
Yeah.
Well, of course, the one thing we do know is that Pedro Pascal is going to be Reed Richards. Now, I told you guys probably about a month or two ago that the casting on Fantastic Four is done. I didn't claim to know who was going to play what, but I knew Fantastic Four, the casting was done. Well, now there's a report coming out that not only is it done, but all the contracts are signed and is finished, and they're getting ready to make the announcement. This comes to us from Comic Book Movie right the following. Fans have been waiting years, literally, to find out who will play the heroic quartet in the team's MCU debut. And while this isn't the first time we've heard that the cast was quote-unquote a lock, a new rumor is claiming that the main roles have now been finalized. According to Daniel Richtman, the deals are closed for the 4 main parts of Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Ben Grimm, and Johnny Storm, with an official announcement imminent. That means any day now. Now, if you guys remember a couple of weeks ago on the show, somebody asked when do I think the announcements will be made? And I said, I'm just guessing. No claiming insider information here. But I believe we're going to get the announcements before Super Bowl. John, so we can get a Fantastic Four trailer? No, there's not going to be a Fantastic Four trailer at the Super Bowl. But I think they're going to get ahead of the Super Bowl and that they would let us know this. And if this word imminent means what they think it means, I do not think it means what you think it means.
Words means what you think it means.
If it means what they think it means, then that means, I mean, it should be maybe this week. They could finally settle it. And then the arguing and bickering and second guessing can begin. That's what we in the fan base do. But listen, I'll say this. If they do come out and make this announcement, say this week sometime, and it's all put to bed and confirmed that Pedro Pascal is, of course, our Reed Richards, which is kind of a foregone thing now. If they can even get 80% as close to nailing the casting like they did with Reed Richards and Pedro Pascal, I'm guessing there might not be as much bickering and arguing as maybe I'm anticipating. You know?
Yeah, right.
Because of course not everybody thought Pedro Pascal should be Reed Richards, but generally speaking, you've got a sense of agreement across the fandom that, you know, maybe not my first choice, but yeah, Pedro's awesome. He's going to make a great Reed Richards. Not everybody agreed, but generally speaking, I found most people across the interwebs were kind of like, okay, maybe not my pick, but a pretty darn good pick. If they can manage to pull that off. And Marvel has always kind of been, with all the mistakes they've made, they've always done pretty good with their casting. And if they can get that close, I think you're going to hear a lot of people be very, very happy. The question I have, though, is going to be, are they going to announce a Dr. Doom casting when they announce the core casting of the Fantastic Four? I have no idea about that. Anyway, Chris, you're hearing these reports. You know, what do you think about the idea that we may get this super soon? Do you think we're going to get this imminently? And how do you think people are going to react once we do?
I feel like this whole thing has been going on for 1,000 years.
Yep.
I feel like we've reported on who's going to be in the cast forever. It was back when Blade was announced. That's how long this has been. I do think we're going to... I'm sorry, Ray. I'm sorry to just twist that knife. Love you. I think we'll probably hear about it soon. I love the idea of us getting a Super Bowl commercial, though. That's hysterical to me. The cast has been announced. Let's put a trailer together. It's exactly how movies work.
Perfect. Just film it.
Wonderful.
Just film it.
I feel like so many of the people who we have had rumored are just a moment away from confirmation, right? Because we have Pedro. We had the talk about, I know Iban Bachrach, is that his last name? Emmy Award winner. Iban, who's great in everything he does, has been a fan favorite for Ben Grimm. And honestly, that is the casting I am most excited about for this. No.
I mean, nothing too exciting, but Porter warned him on one of the events and said, are you playing Ben Grimm? He said, I cannot confirm that I am. I cannot confirm that I'm not. And then he just left it at that.
Oh, good job, because you could get Disney darted, buddy. Well done. Well done. Okay. Yeah. But I mean, I feel like we're also drawing this out because Disney has one movie, or Marvel has one movie coming out. So we're kind of just stretching out the superhero news as long as possible to build up that momentum and get us excited again about these movies.
Stretching it out like Mr.
Stretching it out
Fantastic.
just like Reed. Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Listen, all this movie has to do is have all it has to do. We just have to have great chemistry between these leads. There cannot be a dance number like that horrible Fantastic Four sequel. I don't where he stretches his arms out and swings women back in. And
Nice.
gosh, the most recent Fantastic Four had its mistakes as well. I just need
Mistakes
them.
were made.
So many mistakes were made. I need so little from this movie. I just need them to get along. That's really all I need. I need to believe that these people like each other.
There's
That is my
also-
bar for this.
There's also Eddie, the
Yeah.
rumor about Eddie being. I know that's not the actor's name, but I'm calling him Eddie.
Oh God, Joseph Quinn.
Yes.
Yeah, and he would be a wonderful Human Torch. I do think Joe. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I do. I always thought Joe Keery, the guy who plays Steve, I thought would be a good pick. But either of those guys would be wonderful.
I actually would be happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Questions for you. What do you think? Do you think we're finally, years in the making, going to get this announcement this week or maybe early next week? I'm standing with you. We're going to get it before the Super Bowl. Whatever you guys think, jump into the comments and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this.
Is your mic muted?
Oh, Mike.
No.
Yes, my mic was muted. There you go. Only for a minute, though. It was only
Yeah.
muted for a minute. So with that down, guys, let's move on to this. You know, it also feels like forever ago that we got the announcement that Netflix was going to be bringing us a live action Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now, it's been a bumpy road to get here, at least with the fandom. Because at first there was some kind of excitement, but then instant skepticism because the original show creators and showrunners of the animated series weren't going to be involved with it. I was not one of the doubters because Netflix, their track record of making great television is pretty darn good. They've won a lot of Emmys. They've also put out the odd stinker, for sure. So nothing's a lot guaranteed. Then, gosh, I got to feel like it was like over a year ago, they released the names of the cast and they showed some pictures of them. And like people were like, okay, that could be pretty good. And then months ago, we got pictures of them as their characters. And we went, okay, they're just still pictures, but that looks pretty good. And then a short time ago, we kind of got a little teaser. And we thought, well, it's just a teaser, but that looks all right. Well, today will be a day long remembered because they dropped the full trailer for Avatar: The Last Airbender. And while I am an appreciator of the animated show, I liked it. I was late to it, but I watched the whole thing during the pandemic and I really quite enjoyed it. There are bigger fans of Avatar out there than me. And one of them's in this room.
Yeah, it's me.
I don't care what agenda you have coming into this saying, oh, it has to suck because the original, I don't care. This trailer is fantastic. I watched this trailer and you know what they really nailed? Sokka. Oh my God, they nailed Sokka.
Even just his vocal tone.
Yeah.
The way he delivers his
inflections
quips.
in his voice.
Oh, so good.
It was so utterly perfect. Daniel Day Kim standing there as a shirtless Fire Lord Ozai, and I'm like, that's a villain to be feared right there. That is a dude to be feared. And I don't know how I don't even know how old Daniel Day Kim is. However old he is, that dude jacked. That dude looks incredible. Seeing Mr. Kim as Uncle Iroh.
He's 55.
Daniel Day Kim. Whew, he's got the body of a 26-year-old, looking good. Seeing Uncle Iroh, and I mean, look, here's the real test. I watched the trailer a second time and I said to myself, pretend I've never seen pretend there's not even an animated show. Does this look like a good show? And I try to kind of do a little bit of a wipe, played it with the mindset that I don't know anything about that. This is just a new show coming to Netflix. And it still looks like an amazing trailer. If I knew nothing about Avatar: The Last Airbender, I would still think this trailer looked incredible. So I got to tell you, my excitement, what do we always say is the job of a trailer? take your excitement level, no matter how low it is or how high it is, and bump it up a couple of notches. This trailer has done that for me. I was kind of excited to see this. Like, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I am ludicrously excited to see this, and it's less than a month away. February 22nd. 1 month minus 1 day, and we're going to get this. Actually, it's funny because like 3 minutes before we started the show, Ray watched the trailer for the first time. And the whole time, as Ray's watching this trailer, we're getting ready to start the show. All he hears, what? What? No. Yeah. Like all this commentary is going on. You seem to like the trailer, Ray.
I have no idea what this show is about, but what I saw was incredible. I love all the effects. It seems very like the whatever environment they're in. It seems like a huge place that they're gonna be.
They make it feel very large in scale.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. See, you're my translator, John. You're my make sense of what I'm saying translator. I have no idea what's going on with the show.
Because you've never watched Avatar.
I remember watching the Shyamalan movie.
Oh no.
That was my first introduction to it, and I was like, I don't even remember. I don't even have an opinion now because I don't remember. But I really like the way Netflix is buying into all these animated series and trying to adapt them. If this one goes well,
They did a great job with One Piece.
if this one is good, I still hope they get that One Punch Man live action series going. I mean, because this looks incredible. I'm excited. I'm
Yeah,
all
Appa
in.
looked really good.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all kinds of stuff. Chris, as soon as I saw that, first of all, when I saw that the trailer dropped, before I even hit play, I wonder what Chris is doing right now.
Watching it
So-
on repeat.
You saw this trailer. You obviously have a lot of excitement. This show has a very special place to you. So what did you think about the trailer?
Oh, I feel like the trailer nails it. Obviously, we have to wait to see the actual show to make sure everything fires on all cylinders, but this looks phenomenal. I think the casting was done so well, and I know that they just tirelessly tried to find the right people for this. I mean, Uncle Iroh, wonderful. Love to see good old Appa in the mix. He's wonderful in everything he's in. I love him so much. That gets very confusing with this show, too, since there is an Appa character.
Yeah. In Kim's Convenience, Uncle Iroh's, the actor who's the star of that show, his nickname by his children is Appa.
Yeah.
And there's an Appa in this show, but it's not him.
It's going to really, Logan's going to get very confused because he's going to be like, but wait, no. I think the casting of Sokka was so wonderful. He seems so great and so grounded in this. I don't know if you saw, too, the cast did one of those little Instagram trends, we're the cast of Avatar. Of course we're doing this. And Daniel Day Kim's was, I'm in Avatar. And I've had many people call me Daddy, Zaddy, and other things. You can call me whatever you like. And then I can never remember his name, but the actor who plays Appa, who plays Iroh in this, looks at him and goes, hi, puppy. And it's so cute. And I love everyone's chemistry. The effects look really fun. I like the stylistic choices they've made here. I know people talk too about how they look too cosplay-y. I think they look fun and stylized and like their animated counterparts. I'm just pumped to see this. I'm somebody who has consumed so much Avatar content rabidly. I've read the Kyoshi books. I've read the comics. I love this series so much. I'm still a little nervous since the creators did walk away from this, but this looks just leaps and bounds ahead of the Shyamalan one, which was one of the only movies I've ever walked out of in my life. Hopefully this nails the tone. Hopefully we have that lovely blend of kids being kids, but also with the burden of fixing the world on their shoulders that animated series just strikes so beautifully. I got high hopes. Got real high hopes.
Okay, I just had one question because there's a shot before the trailer where he's coming out of the clouds, right? He looks like he's stepping out. You see like his silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
Is this guy supposed to be a god or something? Is he supposed
The
to-
kid with the arrow?
Yeah.
So he's the Avatar. So what that means essentially is he has been the latest reincarnation of somebody who can master all elements. Whereas within this world, certain people are firebenders, certain people are earthbenders, certain people are waterbenders. He's an airbender, and he also happens to be the last airbender.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because the
that's-
Fire
that
Nation
sounds
knew the
cool.
next Avatar was going to be from the Airbender Nation. So the Fire Nation went out and wiped out all the Airbenders to make sure there wouldn't be another
Oh,
Avatar.
I see. Well, there's one
Everything
thing about the
changed when the
trailer
Fire
that
Nation
I'm worried
attacked.
about was the sound bites, a couple sound bites that we're hearing. This kid sounds, I hope he's not pouty and crybaby. It kind of sounded like that it might go that way.
Well,
Oh,
listen, if you
you are
saw
in for
the
a treat.
animated show, Aang can be that sometimes, but because Aang is a child.
Yeah,
For the
that's
most
what I
part-
was. He is a child. That's what. But man,
For the most
come on.
part, though, Ray, he is just an absolute little beam of sunshine where
okay.
he's so happy. He makes friends everywhere he goes. He just always wants to help people. But he grew up as an air nomad, and they have a kind of monk-like living. And so a lot of things like fighting people and engaging in combat or ultimately killing your enemies are completely against his code. So those are the things that make him not want to take up this mantle.
You're gonna give a kid all that burden?
Well,
all
I mean,
those,
every Airbender is born, or sorry, every Avatar is born, and so that's where it comes from. The two characters I am dying to see, and I don't even know if one of them will be in the first season. But Boomy, cannot wait to see Boomy, and my favorite character in the show, Toph.
Oh, love Toph Beifong.
And I just simply don't know if she's going to be, because she comes in well into the season normally. So I don't know if she's going to be in the first 8 episodes or not, but
Yeah.
we will find out.
This is only 8?
Yeah,
Okay.
the first season is going to be 8 episodes. So I don't know where they're going to leave it off. And I mean, I certainly don't think they're going to get through the whole first season, but maybe they will. I don't know. But I'm very excited to see this. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? It's the second biggest day on the movie year calendar, the day the Oscars get announced. Of course, the biggest day on the movie calendar is the Oscars themselves. But the Oscar nominations came out, and there were a couple of minor surprises, but for the most part, it was pretty much what we were expecting. Including, I think yesterday I said, remember on the show yesterday saying, I said, I think Oppenheimer's going to get 13 nominations. Well, Oppenheimer leads the way with 13 nominations. I think Poor Things had the second most nominations with 11, and on from there. So let's get into the nominations, shall we? We'll start off with the big one. The 2024 nominees for Best Picture are American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and Zone of Interest. And I know everybody was waiting for me to comment on it. It is a travesty that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I can name 4 films on this list that I would easily bump out for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, but it's called the Oscars, not which movies should John Campea have win. It is what it is. So these are the movies that got nominated for that. All right, we go into the Best Lead Actor. Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Coleman Domingo for Rustin, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. No surprises here. I think this is the 5 that I think most people thought it was going to come down to. And really, this is a 2-horse race. This is Paul Giamatti and Cillian Murphy. Of course, Paul Giamatti has won a couple of them. Cillian Murphy's won a couple of them. And I know the odds are the odds makers are saying Cillian Murphy. I'm going to go with the under. I think Paul Giamatti's going to win this. I really do. I think he's going to win it. All right. Best Actress in a Leading Role. Annette Bening for Nyad. Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon. Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall. Carey Mulligan for Maestro. And Emma Stone for Poor Things. This is also a 2-horse race. It's going to be either Lily Gladstone or Emma Stone, but considering, we were talking about this before the show started, considering the fact that Lily Gladstone didn't even get a BAFTA nomination, it kind of makes me think that this might be Emma Stone's. Chris, is this one a 2-horse race between the two of them, or do you think it's a 1-horse race at this point, or could anybody be surprised?
I think it's definitely between the two. Again, the BAFTAs, it's one of those things where they swapped out several actresses for English actresses. And so I don't know if that is going to be our final litmus test, whereas we've got the SAG Awards coming up and everything too. Both Emma and Lily are nominated there. I feel like that's going to be our bigger predictor of who's taking this.
They're tied,
100%.
right? They're
Yeah.
tied 1 for 1. So
Yeah.
the SAG is the tiebreaker.
Yes.
All right, actor in a supporting role. This one was surprising. Sterling K. Brown, multi-Emmy award-winning actor, but he got nominated for Best Supporting Actor for American Fiction. Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon. Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer. Ryan Gosling for Barbie. And Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things. The odds-on favorite here is Robert Downey Jr. I think if anyone is going to pull an upset, it's going to be Ryan Gosling for Barbie. But this is interesting, though. We went over Best Actor. Killers of the Flower Moon, Leonardo DiCaprio did not end up with an Academy Award nomination, which is a little surprising. Actress in a supporting role. Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer. Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple. America Ferrera for Barbie. Jodie Foster for Nyad. Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. This one is a technicality. This is going to Joy Randolph. I don't think anybody else has a chance of winning this. But there has been some discussion because a surprise appearance on here was America Ferrera in Barbie. And I even was kind of keeping my eye on the live chat in the show. And a lot of people saying, how can America Ferrera get nominated for this? I'll tell you how America Ferrera got nominated for this. And I'm not saying I would have nominated her, but Barbie, the #1 box office film of the year, nominated for Best Picture. The key scene, the scene of Barbie that makes this movie work is America Ferrera's dialogue as she's talking about the plight of being a woman. It is a scene that, if not portrayed absolutely perfectly, falls apart and can fall apart pretty quick. It's brilliantly written dialogue, yes, but if you don't kill it and execute it with perfection, I think it falls apart. And that scene really becomes the nuclear center of that entire movie, in my opinion. And now, if you look at the history of the Oscars, there have been many times that the Oscars have taken, in the supporting category, somebody who has only really had 1 or 2 scenes or one key scene in the movie. William Hurt for A History of Violence. Dame Judi Dench in Shakespeare in Love. I mean, there have been many examples of this happening. So while I admit I was a little surprised to see America Ferrera on the list, because I think more big picture of the whole movie, and her character isn't that important to the whole movie. But then when I thought about it and thought about this whole movie is built on that one scene, and she's the one who makes it work. And there is a precedence in the Oscars that the Oscars tend to look for that stuff in the supporting category. So Chris, I wouldn't have personally given her the nomination for this.
No.
But I have no problem with the nomination given the history of the Oscars and kind of what they gave us for. What did you think about it?
I can absolutely understand that. That monologue is basically the thesis statement of the entire movie. And so it makes sense that that very pivotal moment would get noticed. I mean, Meryl Streep has gone on record saying how she wants that monologue, how she wishes she got to deliver that. So I can absolutely see why they did it, but this is definitely going to the holdovers. There's no question.
Joy Randolph is getting
Yeah.
this. By the way, as some people point out too, with America Ferrera getting nominated for Barbie, somebody from Barbie didn't get a nomination. That was Margot Robbie.
Or Greta.
Well, we'll get to
Yeah.
Best Director in a second here. Listen, y'all know I really loved Barbie. I have no problem with Margot Robbie not getting a Best Actress nomination here. I just don't. I think she was great in it. Do I think hers was a top 5 performance of the year? I don't. I would put the 5 that are in there above her. And that's not to take anything away from her incredible performance in Barbie. It was great. But there's only 5 spots, and there were other incredible performances as well. So I'm actually okay that I would have been fine if she did get nominated, but I'm also pretty okay that she didn't get it. All right. We move on now to directing. Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall. Killers of the Flower Moon by Martin Scorsese. Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan. Poor Things, Yorgos Lanthimos. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. And Jonathan Glazer from Zone of Interest. Again, as Chris foreshadowed, no Greta Gerwig nomination for Best Director. And again, I'm okay with it. I thought it was a better written movie. It's a don't get me wrong, very well-directed movie, but there are 10 movies nominated for Best Picture, and there's only 5 spots for directors. That means half of the directors of a Best Picture nominated film are not going to get nominated for Best Director. And while I think absolutely Greta and Noah should 100% get a nomination for screenplay, That's where I think the main strength of the film was screenplay. Again, very well directed film, but I have no problem with her not having a top 5 spot here. Again, like Margot Robbie, I would have been okay if she was. I wouldn't have agreed with it, but I'd be okay with it because she did a great job directing the movie, got nominated for Best Picture. But I kind of feel like they got it right. And here at the end of the day too, like with the Margot Robbie nomination, it's really kind of moot because she wasn't going to win. We know Emma Stone is probably going to win that. Here, it's kind of moot that she didn't get nominated because she wasn't going to win. Christopher Nolan's going to win this. We all know it. So I was kind of okay with it. Anyway, Chris, it's the big thing every year, especially since they expanded the Best Picture category. You're going to have movies nominated for Best Picture where the directors don't get nominated for Best Director. It's just a numbers game. But what did you think about the list that we got?
I was really surprised that Greta wasn't on there, honestly. The Academy, including this year with Justine on there, has only had 8 women ever receive a nomination for Best Director. And I really thought she was going to be number 9. Well, she's been nominated before, but I thought that she would be recognized because I feel like that film, one, because of her incredible screenplay that she wrote with Noah Baumbach, obviously. But I feel like the direction of it really is what held everything together. There's so many interesting stylistic choices made. There's just such heart and love put into every frame of that movie. I was very, very shocked to see that. I don't know who I would swap out, though. That's the other thing here, is there are just a finite amount of spots, and I don't know who I would take out of there so that she got her roses.
Because the direction on all these movies, Poor Things, Anatomy of a Fall, Oppenheimer, Kills the Flower Moon, I mean, these are all elite level kind of thing. And again, like the old adage used to be, well, did that movie direct itself? Again, it's a numbers game. There are 10 nominees for Best Picture, only 5 nominees for Best Director.
I am going to repeat myself because the chat seems confused. I just said that Justine makes it the 8th person, you guys. So I understand that a woman is nominated.
Yes,
I'm saying that
she did. She was very clear about that.
We also don't need to have a quota of only one lady gets to be in the category. I think that's pretty reasonable. I don't know.
So anyway, then we get on to writing. In adapted screenplay, where Barbie is and should not be, American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Zone of Interest. Now, when I say Barbie shouldn't be there, you might be saying, John, you just said it should absolutely be nominated for writing. It should have been in the original category, where everybody else properly put it. The Writers Guild of America has listed Barbie as an original screenplay. I think they know better. Every other awards body has listed it properly as an original screenplay. The idiocy sometimes coming out of the Academy of Motion Pictures, Art and Sciences sometimes confounds me. But at any rate, Barbie deserved a nomination. It's just in the wrong category. Listen, I'll tell you what. A lot of people are thinking it's Oppenheimer. I think both Barbie and American Fiction have very strong chances here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I was forced to put $100 on this, I'd play it safe and put it on Oppenheimer. I'm simply saying, don't anybody act all shocked and surprised if they announce Cord Jefferson for American Fiction or Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach for Barbie. I think these have legitimate shots, not to mention Poor Things and not to mention Zone of Interest. But
Yeah.
I don't think this one is as much of a given as the Christopher Nolan one is. What do you think?
Oh, I think that's anyone's game here, especially Zone of Interest. Oh my gosh, that what a movie you see once.
Yes.
I mean, that has a lot of potential to win. Obviously, Barbie could, but I agree with you that should be an original content. Just because it's pre-existing IP does not mean it's adapted from something. It's not like we went, oh, well, let's look at Barbie's timeline and figure it out from there. It's an original story.
Because there are such thing as trees when they made Tree of Life. And
Yeah.
they didn't go, oh, well, that's an adapted because there are such things as trees.
Yeah.
No, it was ridiculous.
Well, and it's also, so every rom-com that's ever existed then needs to be adapted screenplay because almost everything is formulaically based on Much Ado About Nothing.
Right. There you go.
The Lion King is an adapted screenplay of Hamlet. Lion King 1.5 is an adapted screenplay of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. All ideas have happened before.
All right. Moving on now to the other writing category for original screenplay, where Barbie should have been. Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May December, which I don't think should be nominated, to be honest with you, and Past Lives, which absolutely should be nominated. I think this is a 2-horse race for Past Lives and The Holdovers. Past Lives is just a lot like Barbie. It's such I mean, that movie is all in its writing. I mean, great direction, beautiful performances. But the way it is written and takes concepts that I think a lot of people have pondered or experienced in their own lives, situations that they've maybe considered. I just think it was such a beautifully done thing. I don't think it's going to be Maestro. I don't think it's going to be Now the Fall, but I think it's going to come down to either The Holdovers or Past Lives. Which do you think takes it?
Oh, I'm not sure. I mean, Holdovers is just one of those movies. I mean, I know it's even in their marketing materials. They don't make movies like this anymore. And that's part of the charm of it, is it feels like something that came out of like the 1970s or 80s or something. It just has this whole other essence and vibe to it. But Past Lives, I watched that on a plane to Texas and sobbed by myself. And it's a movie
You
too
weren't by
that
yourself. You were
I
surrounded
was
by
surrounded
200
by
people.
everyone, yeah, making my seatmate so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Of why is this woman crying about this couple? It's such a beautiful story, and it's such a wonderful slice of life film that really achieves so much of talking about how you feel as an immigrant, or an immigrant twice over in the case of our lead character, how you feel when you miss a person and you don't make that connection, but you knew there was something there. I mean, it's just a beautiful, relatable story in so many ways too, that it really, really strikes a chord. So I still think I'm going to give it to Holdovers, but man,
Yeah. I think if I had to put $5 on it, I'd probably say Holdovers as well. But I
Yeah.
think Past Lives has a shot. Now,
so beautiful.
one of the categories, I was asked about this on my open mic yesterday. And by the way, for anybody who's, we're going to have an open mic today as well. But on open mic last night, somebody asked me, what do you think the chances are that Godzilla -1 gets nominated for Best International Feature? And I said, zero chance, because countries have to put forward who their representatives are. And Japan did not put forward Godzilla -1. So going into today's nominations, there was -1 chance that Godzilla -1.
Wow, all that
Wow.
for
Woo.
not a lot of cake.
Not a lot of cake. There was -1 chance that Godzilla had no chance because Japan didn't put it forward as its contender for the award.
Okay.
So that's there. Now, a lot of people then wonder, well, could Godzilla get a nomination for Best Visual Effects?
This was the category right here.
And it did. And I'm going to piss a lot of people off. It shouldn't have.
It shouldn't, yeah.
It,
I'm
sh-
just
it
saying,
shouldn't.
this-
For its budget, it was awesome. But
Yes,
come on.
but that's the category is not
Yeah.
Best Visual Effects for the budget
yeah,
you
the
had.
relatively.
That's not the
It's not,
category.
it's not relatively best visual effects.
Yeah, the name of the award is not relative. But anyway, here are the nominees for Best Visual Effects.
Yes, this is
The Creator,
woo.
Godzilla -1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, although you can take the Part 1 off that now, and Napoleon, which is how
Yeah.
us Canadian Italians say it, Napoleon, which is a terrible movie, but some very impressive visual effects. Again, the visual effects in Godzilla -1, for the fact that it was a $15 million movie, is incredible. But that's not what the category is. The category is Best Visual Effects overall. And as much as I enjoyed the movie, and Ray, you loved the movie, there are a lot of times in that
Yeah,
movie where you're like,
yeah.
yeah, this is clearly a $15 million movie. And that's okay. We forgave it because it's a $15 million movie. I really don't think it should have gotten nominated for Best Visual Effects, but there it is. I think it's going to go to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, really?
Or either Guardians of the Galaxy
Creator, man.
or The Creator.
Yeah.
One of the two, because both of those, I mean, one was very photorealistic based, one was great imagination fantasy based. And so I think it's going to come down to one of those two. Which one would you give it to, Ray?
Oh, the Creator, definitely. Well, this category, this is why I say this is my category this year. 4 out of the 5, any of the 4 win, I win. Napoleon's the only one that I don't want.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen it. So,
You're lucky that you didn't see it. Chris, you got a favorite in here?
The Creator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very photorealistic. And again, shot with a consumer level camera. It was the movie was shot with the slightly big brother of this camera that I'm shooting on right now.
Which is wild.
Yeah, the
It's
Canon
a stunning
FX30s.
film.
that, does visual effects include like the design of things too, right?
No,
Like
that's a different.
No.
That's a
because
different
like the
category.
buildings in the Creator, I thought were very unique. I didn't know if it landed.
Well, if
on-
if the building is a visual effect,
Yeah, unless
Yeah.
it was a visual effect.
then,
yeah.
then that's one thing. If it's a real building that they just shot in front of, then
Oh, no.
that's
Like
not
for
visual
instance, great example in Ant-Man 3, best movie of the year. The buildings were effects.
Get out.
And listen,
See,
those
See myself out.
How is Ant-Man and the Wasp not on here? Those holes didn't create themselves. What about the holes?
No,
Holes. All right.
I never want to think about them.
Yeah. So anyway, we're not going to go over all the categories, but again, best short documentary. No, we're not going to go over all of them, but again, some minor surprises. But again, I don't think nobody got left off. Here's the thing. I don't think anybody got left off any of the lists who legitimately had a legit chance to win, right? Like Greta Gerwig was not going to win Best Director. Christopher Nolan's going to get that. Margot Robbie was not going to win Best Lead Actress. That's going to go to Emma Stone or possibly Lily Gladstone.
You guys do this with a couple of the ones. Which one would you have put in front, in place of Godzilla -1? I forgot to ask that for visual effects. Is there any off the top of your head that would?
Oh,
I remember I looked at the list of 15 that was shortlisted the other day, and I didn't even have Godzilla -1 in the top 10.
Oh, okay.
So I
there's
would
a
have to have the
couple
list
on
in
there.
front of me again.
There's a
but-
couple on there that you would have put
Okay,
on.
and again, for $15 million, what they did in that movie is insane, is so good. But that's not what the category is, once again. So anyway. All right, guys. With that all down, let's get on to the most important part of our show, which is hearing from you guys. Now, we already asked our beloved YouTube channel members to fire in some topics, but if you guys have a topic or question, actually, strike that because we've already turned off the super chats. So if you had already sent in a question, we're going to get to those in just a second. But before we do, we're going to take another second and thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Factor. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Factor. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery store and prep work because you know what? Sometimes we just don't feel like prepping our own meals. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Forget frantic lunch preps and rushed dinners. Factor's 2-minute meals are your secret weapon in the new year. Fuel up fast with restaurant-quality meals, all delivered right to your door. And Factor now offers loads of snack options like breakfast, smoothies, juices, snacks, and more to keep me going no matter what's on the schedule. It's time to skip the overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. And Factor is flexible. Change your order up every week with plans from 4 to 18 meals per week, or pause or reschedule your deliveries anytime. So guys, head to factormeals.com/Campea50 and use the code Campea50 to get 50% off. That's code Campea50 at factormeals.com/Campea50 to get 50% off. And thank you to our friends at Factor for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to your questions here, shall we? Chris, what do we got up first?
From Raymond Verrata. In the Oscar noms, I noticed Robbie and Gerwig weren't nominated in their categories. I thought the Guild noms were a good indicator, but it seems someone changed their mind or forgot to vote for both.
Well, I mean, look, don't forget, a couple of years ago, one of the biggest weird things ever in the Oscars, the Directors Guild of America named Ben Affleck as Director of the Year for Argo. He also won the Golden Globe. He won the Critics' Choice. All of that. And then he didn't even get nominated for Best Director at the Oscars. And his movie won Best Picture. Argo won Best Picture without the director even being nominated. So, I mean, it happens. I think really for the guilds, who wins is really more of the better indicator than who's nominated. So stuff like this happens. Again, when I look at the list of 5 who got nominated for Best Actress, I'm not bumping any of them off for Margot Robbie. And again, that's no shade at Margot Robbie. She was great in the movie. There's not a director on the list that I would bump for Greta Gerwig. She was great directing that movie, but so were the people nominated. So it's, and again, it's kind of a moot point. Neither one of them were going to win, right? So it's whether they got nominated is not as big of a deal, at least not to me. All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher. I love the Avatar: The Last Airbender trailer so much.
Yep.
I love that I can tell who and what everything is. The music. I love that Sokka's funny even when he's trying not to be.
Again, that oddly, look, if you're going to name the most unimportant character maybe in Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's probably Sokka. I mean, but they nailed that dude, nails that character. Like, absolutely. He has just the spirit of that character from the animated show. And that's one of the reasons why I got so excited about, but the cinematography of it looked good. Despite the fact that this is a television show, it doesn't look like they cheaped out on visual effects. The casting looks completely on point. I can't wait to watch this. This looks great to me. All right, what's next?
From Alif Bilsrali, WWE Raw is moving to Netflix 2025. Was considering canceling my subscription, but I'll hang on to watch Raw live. Do you think that Netflix will be looking to have more live and weekly content?
All streamers are going to be looking to have more live content, particularly in the world of sporting events and stuff like that. But you just proved the point that I was making earlier, right? When I was saying that a lot of these movies and TV shows ain't nobody going to sign up that isn't already signed up to Netflix just because you're going to make this movie or make that show. A lot of people are going to sign up to Netflix so they can watch their Monday Night Raw. And then folks like you who may have been considering leaving Netflix is like, oh, this is going to be the home of Raw? Well, I'm going to stick around then. It's already paying for itself. But let me repeat that number. $500 million per year on a 10-year deal, where after 5 years, Netflix has the option to get out of the deal, but they also have the option to extend it by another 10. This 5-year deal or 10-year deal could turn into a 15-year deal. It's a $5 billion deal. It's crazy. All right, what's next?
From Amin. Biggest surprise, in my opinion, no Leo, no Margot, no Killers of the Flower Moon for adapted screenplay. Also, including America Ferrera for Best Supporting? Really? Okay. And I love John Williams, but he should not have gotten a score nomination. Should have gone to Spider-Verse.
I'm going to disagree. I love Spider. I think it was the best film of the year. Spider-Verse, while it has a very good soundtrack, or a very good score, I should say, the Into and Across the Spider-Verse movies are more about their soundtrack than they are about their score, right? Soundtrack is not the same as score. They're totally different things. And so I wouldn't have put in that above. Again, and I made my case why, while I would not have personally given America Ferrera the nomination, I think, again, if you look at the history of the Oscars and what they're looking for and the vital nature of that one monologue that she gives in that movie, which I think the entire emotional underpinning of that entire movie is based on that one scene, and she makes it work. In the best supporting category, that seems to historically be kind of what the Oscar's looking for. And so again, I wouldn't have nominated her personally, but I get why they did. And it kind of makes sense because she killed that scene. All right, what's next?
From Elif again. Will you be watching the Royal Rumble? Yes.
When is it?
Saturday.
Is it? Mm-hmm. I will not. Only because I'm out. I quite often every year, I definitely watch WrestleMania every year. Mm-hmm. And I'll usually watch Royal Rumble as well, but I will be out this Saturday. So I will not this Saturday, unfortunately, but you will be.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Who's the favorite? The Rock?
I don't even know who's doing stuff this weekend.
Is The Rock going to be in it so he can win it and then face his cousin at WrestleMania?
Roman Reigns.
Man, it's Cody's time, man.
I do love Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, give it to Cody, man. He deserves it.
But didn't they already do their Cody Roman? They did Cody Roman at last year's WrestleMania. Yeah. They're not going to repeat it.
It's time to get back, baby.
But they're not going to do
because it was
back-to-back.
Also bullshit. Because Roman Reigns can't beat anybody without a weird, sneaky assist.
All the great villains are like that.
You know what? There were some wrenches thrown into the WWE storyline, like Randy Orton coming back, CM Punk coming back, The Rock. I don't envy Triple H's job right now to write a good for all of them.
Right, make
it's going to be
happy.
Tough. WrestleMania is like right around the corner.
All right, what's next?
From Alec Andrew, Sandler, Mike Myers, or Nick Cage should play Trump. Okay.
In what?
In like on SNL,
like SNL?
In life.
I mean, if he's not in jail, Alec Baldwin should probably play him. He
did a great job.
All right, what's next?
From Dino Vader. John, you said yesterday that you broke one of your principles. One of the next principles broken will be going to Disneyland again. Don't say no. In 5 to 10 years, you'll be the father of a sweet daughter, and one day she'll ask you with a trembling voice and tears in her eyes, Daddy, please, please come with me to Disneyland.
All right, so the principle that he's talking about, like you guys know, I no longer, for anybody who goes, you just said you like that movie so you can keep your access. I have no access. I gave it all up. Back in the AMC days, I gave up red carpets. Back in the Collider days, I gave up going to press junkets. And a little over a year ago, I stopped going to press screenings. I don't go to any of them. They still send me invitations. I don't know why.
John never forwards them to me.
Yep.
I don't know why.
They're not transferable, just to be clear.
I'll dress like you.
We do flawless impressions.
It's I have no doubt.
Hi, I'm John.
But
John Campea. I'm so sorry I'm late.
Oh, there
I'm
you go.
so sorry.
Oh my God, John, how'd you get here?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
Boom.
But then I got Universal sent me an invitation to go to a press screening of Argyle, my boy Henry Cavill. And I'm like, I think I may have to make an exception on this one. So I think I might go to the press screening on that. It's the first time I go. True story here. When everybody asks me, when you have a kid, do you want to have a son or a daughter? But before they even finish the question, son. Why? Why don't you want a daughter? It's not that I don't want a daughter, but I've seen my father and I know myself. I'm going to be able to guide and direct my son. If I have a daughter, that little brat is going to own me. And I know it. I know it. Just the way the person who wrote the question put that in. She's going to bat her eyes at me. Daddy, I want this. And I am going to be helpless. I'm going to be 100% helpless.
Yeah, but that's why you have Anne to the rescue. She's going to guide her.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's going to be any better.
Anne's going to be like, bat your eyes.
We have dogs, and she gives the dogs whatever they want. But
they're
John,
cute.
they want to sleep in our bed tonight. I don't care what they want to do, honey. They've got their own bed. But it's going to be, I mean, Ray's going to have to come over and raise the kid if I
Yeah,
have
I
a
can't
daughter.
wait to raise Optimus Prime. That's his name, right? I'm pretty sure you guys are
Optimus
naming it
Prime.
Optimus.
Don't let
I think it's
Ann and
Optimus. I think it's Optimus Skywalker.
Ann and I once honestly talked about names, and we legitimately brought up the name Optimus. We brought up the name Maximus. We brought up the name Sky to be short for Skywalker.
This guy's cute.
We've thought of a few of those.
It's a real good thing I'm not going to have kids because mine would beat yours up. Oh my gosh. Those names.
What's your name? What's going to be Thug Nasty or something like
Yeah,
that?
mine would just be some asshole.
And of course, they will be put into MMA training at the age of 6 months.
Oh yeah, you. Bad
so
father.
anyway,
However, though, once all of the principles of John are broken, the end times are here. So
then the end times are here.
careful what you wish for.
All right, what's next?
From HV3. Do you watch the Food Network? Yes.
Yep.
The show Superstar Grudge Match just got canceled mid-season because the host broke into his ex-wife's house and tried to strangle her? What? I'm not familiar with Superstar Grudge Match, but now I'm going to go do a weird deep dive and get sad.
Well, that's not a good thing.
No.
It's not a good thing. I watch a bunch of, but there are
Talk
specific
about a
Food
grudge
Network
match.
shows I watch. I was not familiar with this particular one, so I didn't know the guy broke into his ex-wife's house and tried to strangle her.
Horrible.
Ugh, not good. All right, what's next?
From Amin. All 10 Best Picture films got a screenplay nomination except for Flower Moon. If Barbie was correctly put into the Best Original category instead of May December, Flower Moon would have gotten a nom.
Yep. Again, though, when the Left Out Party didn't really have a legit shot to win anyway, I don't get as worked up about it. But you're right. That is a consequence of it. It reminds me of when the year that The Fighter and Social Network were up for Oscars. Christian Bale got nominated for Best Supporting Actor, which was absolute bullshit. He had every bit of screen time. He was the feature character on the poster. He was as much a lead. And just say, oh, John, every movie only has one lead. No. Look at the Oscar history. Many Oscars have had multiple characters in considered lead categories. Christian Bale was a lead along with Mark Wahlberg in that movie. And because he got that spot, Andrew Garfield, who was the heart and soul of The Social Network, I argue should have been a front runner to win Best Supporting Actor that year. He didn't get his honor because the studio decided, hey, listen, Colin Firth is nominated for King's Speech. Christian Bale's got no chance of winning there. Oh, but he might win in Best Supporting Actor. Let's categorize him as supporting actor. That's exactly what happened. And that's why putting these things in the right categories matter. By the way, Thomas Bombadil in our live chat talking about that thing over the Food Network guy broke into his ex-wife's triceratops. His wife said, that sounds like a more interesting show, to be honest. Probably. All right. What's next?
Someone's trying to option it right now.
True crime.
Sam Fisher. Ray, if you want to get into Fantastic Four, read the current run by Ryan North. It leans heavily into the 60s style cerebral sci-fi and the body horror possibilities of Reed's stretch powers. Ooh. Let's say
Ray, what
Ray.
do
You don't look like you're sold.
I've never been into Fantastic Four. I mean, if Pedro Pascal is actually cast as Reed Richards, that's one way to win me over to being more excited for
I
the
think for a
film.
lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, but as far as right now, I don't know. It's not a property that I've been into. It just hasn't for some
All right.
reason.
What's next?
From Francesca De Pisa. I finally got to watching The Last of Us last week.
Oh,
and
nice.
wow. What have I been missing out on? Storytelling at its best, Bella Ramsey is surely one to watch.
I still remember. It was shortly after The Last of Us finished its run that I went back to watch all those YouTube videos of like when the casting announcement for Last of Us was made, all those Last of Us is already ruined because they cast Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. It's already dead before it gets anywhere. Yeah! And everybody's crying, all that kind of stuff. One of the greatest television shows I've ever seen. So good. Won few Emmys, got nominated for the top Emmy, like for a genre show. It got nominated for Best Drama Series at the Emmys, which is crazy. That and Andor, by the way. And of course, now everybody, you can't imagine anybody other than Pedro Pascal playing the role. And Bella Ramsey, I mean, you should have known. If you didn't know from watching her in Game of Thrones, you should have known. This kid's a prodigy. And she just killed it in this. It was really, really great to see. All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher, anime recommendation, White Box. It's an anime about anime production. A cool series that's also strangely filled with tension because of mistakes, deadlines, etc. Ooh.
You just did the opposite of selling me on it. It's an anime about making anime.
I would watch that.
I know you would.
I
That
would
sounds good to
watch
you.
it, yeah.
All right, what's
Thanks,
next?
Sam. From Robert. Can't wait to see Godzilla -1 in black and white this weekend. Godzilla looks great in the black and white trailer and gonna rewatch the 1954 film in anticipation.
Am I the only person who's just calling this for what it is? This is a stupid thing. Godzilla -1 is a great movie. Taking out the color does not do anything. I said the same thing about Logan. I love Logan, but I said, like, when they're doing the black and white thing, it's like, but why? Why?
Whoa.
It's a totally different movie. Why? Because that shirt that was blue, yeah, now it's gray. Totally different movie. I don't get anybody getting excited. I know people do get excited about it, and it's all subjective, and God bless. I just don't get it. I don't get why people get excited about the idea of
They just need a little bit more money. Just a little
little
bit. Yeah,
I just don't understand people getting excited about, wait, it's the same movie, yeah, but, are you ready? Yeah. They take out the color. I just don't get it. And it's okay if I don't get it. It's okay that I don't get it. That's fine. I'm just saying I don't get it. That's all.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
From Renetta W, sending in a $20 super chat. Part 1. Oh, well, John, Spider-Verse didn't get that Best
Yep.
Pick nom. Unfortunately, I saw that coming.
Well, I think a lot of people did, yeah.
Also, I love John Williams. He's the GOAT. However, Spider-Verse should have been nominated for Best Score. Very disappointed.
Oh.
Again, I don't know that and we'll get to part 2 in a second. Again, I don't know that I agree. Again, I think Spider-Man Across Spider-Verse is the best movie of the year. And I think it's got a really, really good score. Do I think its score, remember, not soundtrack, no Metro Boomin', Am I Dreamin'? And I'm not talking about the songs, but the score, I don't think the score was as good. But again, that's just me. All right, what was part 2 there?
Part 2 is very happy that Creator and Godzilla -1 got noms for special effects on such modest budgets. I really hope one of them gets it.
If either of them are, it's going to be Creator. Because unlike Godzilla -1, which again is a movie I super enjoyed, but unlike Godzilla -1, where there were multiple times in that movie where you go, okay, yeah, you can see how this is just a $15 million movie. the creator looks like a legit $200 million film. I mean, everything from the androids and so like it looks like a full-fleshed $200 million movie. Godzilla Minus One does not look like a $200 million movie. It's amazing what they did with the budget, but the creator didn't have, I mean, the creator, I think, had double the budget. I think it was about a $30 million movie, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. But they made that $30 million movie look like a $200 million movie. Just crazy. So if it's not Guardians of the Galaxy, it just very well may be the creator. All right, what's next?
We also had some support down there from Chris. Right, there we go. Thank
you, Chris. And again, Ronetta, thank you so much for supporting us to that level. It's very generous of you. Thanks so much.
From Jamal, Avatar trailer equals amazing. A slow release should be done if they want to gain subscribers.
Yeah, and I think I read in the Hollywood Reporter that they're dropping all 8 episodes.
Ooh.
Which maybe the Hollywood Reporter's wrong. Maybe they just wrote that because that's what Netflix traditionally does.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say right now it's a mistake if they do. At minimum, I think they should break it into 3 parts. 3 episodes, maybe a month later, 3 episodes, a week after that, 2 episodes. Do something to build momentum. This is the type of show that can do it. And I think if they just drop it all at once, they're burning advantages. They're just burning through advantages.
Unless the first 3 episodes suck, right?
Well,
so
that's
then
true.
no one's going to watch the
true.
next batch. So
100%. That could be something we have to look for. All right, what's next?
From Dwayne Cinema, started playing Last of Us Part 1 with my girlfriend watching. She loves it so far. She wants to experience Part 2 next.
Yeah, then the question is, do you give her a heads up?
No.
No, you're right. You just don't. In the same way that people who read the books did not give their friends watching Game of Thrones a heads up when it came to the Red Wedding, don't give her a heads up about what happens in Part 2. And just, but do everybody a favor. Video it. Video her watching you play, and because the world would want to see it, I think. All right, what's next?
From Thomas Bombadil, is anyone watching Peter Capaldi's new show Criminal Record on Apple TV Plus? It's so thrilling and intense. It only took 5 minutes to completely hook me.
Yeah, where he was like a criminal investigator and now he's like a serial killer or something.
Oh.
Or something. It looks great.
That's interesting.
Again, and it's Apple TV Plus and they just slay. So I have not started watching it yet, but if I hear more people recommending it, I think I might give it a shot because it looks pretty interesting.
I love Peter Capaldi. He's amazing.
All right, what's next?
Chris Wright. Hey guys, Ted the TV show is unbelievably funny. Personally better than the movies. Please give it a watch.
All right. So I can't remember what we were watching last night. But we were done. No, we went out. Ann and I went out for a bit, got home, had a little time to kill. So I decided to pop on the TED show because somebody yesterday wrote in and said the TED series is really good.
Ted, what?
The bear.
Oh, the bear. He's back? Okay.
Got a Hulu series.
Okay.
You've made thumbnails for us talking about this.
I didn't know it was already out.
Yep, it's out.
Okay, well.
And
here we go.
I got about halfway through the first episode.
And?
At least 5 very big laughs from me. Halfway through the first half-hour episode, and I had at least 5 big laugh-out-loud moments. It feels like a live-action version of Family Guy. Because it even like, do with the exterior shots of the house and all that kind of, it's very much feels like Family Guy. But I had to admit, it's pretty funny. I've not been looking forward to it. I thought, you know what? This is just going to be a cheap version of the movies. But it's pretty funny. And the visual effects of Ted looked as good as they do in the movies. So
you like it so far?
I again, having only seen half of one episode.
Yeah.
But so far I'm on board. All right, what's next?
From Cody Hunt, Jurassic World never gave us the promise of a clash between dinos and mankind. We need the incident in San Diego on a global scale.
Do we? That's not really much of a clash. Like the reality is, in the world of Jurassic Park, the dinosaurs are only a threat if they're in an enclosed environment with humans without their technology and weapons. But you send 100 stampeding T-Rexes into France with an armed military, the T-Rexes are dead in 5 seconds. I mean, so I don't... Now, unless with this new Jurassic World movie, they pull a Planet of the Apes.
Oh.
Where the dinosaurs start talking. Wait, I speak?
So cool.
Me Grimlock can speak? And they start to figure out how to use opposable thumbs. And they start rushing into Paris with M16s of their own shooting. I mean, I don't know, but really, an all-out war between the dinosaurs and humanity, that war lasts 5 minutes. Humanity wins really fast.
I have a feeling they're gonna put like implants inside some of the dinosaurs to
Increase their
control-
intelligence.
to control. Yeah, some sort of AI
Oh my
thing.
God, look at that image. There it is. The first sneak peek
Oh,
picture
there
of
it
the new
is.
Jurassic World
Yup,
movie.
exclusive. Right here, drop right now.
Boom.
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 T-Wick. That's T-Wick right there.
What was the name of the shark
T-Wick.
movie? Was it Great Blue Sea? Or what was the name of the shark
Great
movie
Blue
where
Sea? Deep Blue Sea.
Deep Blue Sea,
Sea.
where they were making sharks more intelligent?
Oh, yeah.
And it turns out that was a terrible mistake.
That had a great jump scare.
How did this go wrong?
Yeah.
One of the best jump scares in movie history. There it is. There it is. All you need now.
That looks so cool, man.
All you need now is Vin Diesel riding it with a big flag that says family, and you got your next Fast movie. All right, what's next?
From Patrick Hamilton. Chris, have you not visited the new San Francisco at California Adventure? Think you'll like it. I have not. Disney tickets are insanely expensive. I was in that Magic Key queue for 10 hours, just on my phone.
Magic, isn't that for annual?
I tried
That's
that.
for the annual pass.
I
Yeah.
tried
They
that
made you
one
wait
day
for
too.
10 hours?
10
to get it?
hours on my phone, just like kept checking it every now and then to see when I could log in.
How come annual passes are so hard to get now?
They've made them so limited, so most people get renewals and then they only release so many of them.
So
But
they're making
then-
it Coachella?
Basically.
Oh, come
And
on.
then the down payment, Logan and I were it would be like us dropping $300 or something on the day plus monthly payments. Miss me.
Yeah.
It's too
All right.
expensive.
What's next?
From Jumping Jiminy Crickets. Hey guys, I finally watched Man of Steel and sorry to say I wasn't a fan. I get why others like it, but personally I found it was too much action and not enough character development.
And I thought it was a perfect balance of both. I think it is. This is why I say it's underrated, because a lot of people don't like it. And I think it's an absolutely brilliant movie. But this just goes to prove my point. You know, a lot of, like, I was having this discussion with Rob yesterday on the show, and like we were talking yesterday about what will ultimately be the legacy of the DCEU now that it's done. And Rob contends, and a lot of people agree with him, that it's studio interference. Well, as I brought up, I've never heard anybody suggest that studio gave him any interference with Man of Steel. I love that movie. Love it. But a lot of people didn't like that movie, and there was zero studio interference. You know what else didn't have any studio interference? Army of the Dead. A lot of people didn't like that movie. I personally did. But Rob didn't like that. Had zero studio interference. You know what else had zero studio interference? Friggin' Dialogue, the movie. What was the one that Zack Snyder just had on
Rebel Moon.
Rebel Moon?
Rebel Moon.
Zero studio interference. That movie sucks balls. It's only the second Zack Snyder movie in history I don't like. So this fantasy that people make up, that if the studio didn't interfere, everything would have been great. Every piece of evidence I see suggests otherwise. There was no studio interference in Man of Steel, and a whole shit ton of people didn't like it, even though you all should, because it's awesome. How dare you besmirch my Henry's name? There was no studio interference in Army of the Dead. There's no studio interference on, I forgot the name of the fucking movie again.
Rebel Moon.
Rebel Moon. That's how bad it is. There was no studio interference on Rebel Moon. And so that's what you got. So that's what you would have gotten in the Justice League too. Again, and I say this as somebody who I have liked or loved every single Zack Snyder movie except for Sucker Punch and now Rebel Moon.
Should directors have the option in their contract to get studio interference if they want it?
Well, I think
no,
it'll be
because-
given to them.
You know what it is? This is the equivalent. Some people say, John, it's different. It's not different. If I hire a contractor to come and do something in my house, it's still my house and it's my money. So the contractor says, I really think you need to make this wall blue. And I say, no, I want that wall white. That contractor better not come to you and say, well, you're interfering with my artistic vision. Fuck your artistic vision. It's my money and it's my house.
And then he's like, John, your walls are already white. You want
Your
white on
walls
white?
are already white.
Oh,
Why am I here?
that seems to check out.
Why am I here? Again, it's just one of those things. But yeah, Man of Steel to me, it's just one of those movies. Like Schnepp and I both, we would talk about this a lot. It's just a movie that gets better every time I watch it. And again, I respect that. Listen, all film is subjective. So if you watched it and it did not push your buttons and it didn't work for you the way it did for me, hey, that's the art. That's the entertainment business. That's totally cool. But for me, I will always adore this movie. I think it's fantastic. I think what Zack Snyder did with this movie was absolutely incredible. And I will always love it. And I will always be grateful for it. All right. What's next?
From Seconds from Disaster, I hope they have T-Rex Deadpool in Deadpool 3. That'd be awesome, especially after seeing Spider T-Rex in Across the Spider-Verse.
All right.
All right. We hinted at this the other day. I have heard something about Deadpool 3 that would blow up the internet. At least I think it would. I think it would. But here's the thing. Ryan Reynolds put out that statement a few weeks ago asking people not to leak pictures and not to all that kind of stuff. Now, and this thing that we have found out, I don't know if this is going to be a thing that they might just put in the trailer and it's not really going to be a surprise anyway. I have a feeling it might be one of those. So I've been trying to decide whether or not I should like drop an email to Ryan Reynolds to say, listen, I have been told this. Now, is this something that you guys are going to advertise at some point anyway? Or is this something you don't want us to talk about? I mean, I don't know. It's just,
There's a thin line there, John.
there is a thin line.
I still believe in the magic of movies, and I've felt that like recently for a couple movies where something wasn't told to me, and I just miss that feeling. Sometimes it can get a little too far when you're in this industry, and it's just what you open your eyes and ears to. If you choose to do it, then that's your choice. But me, I try to keep away from all that. Don't tell me, John. Don't tell me.
But it's like, but every outlet that breaks a story,
right.
that's them revealing something about the
Right,
movie
right,
that
right,
the studio's
right.
like
I get
everybody. And so I've
get
got
it.
this piece of information now, and I'm like, I don't know if this is something that's safe to talk about or not. So I'm going to wait till I find out if it's safe or not. But I think a lot of people will be very excited when they hear it. But regardless, all right, what's next?
From Jamal. Did WWE just kill Netflix?
Kill Netflix? What are you talking about? This Netflix is literally going to get 1 million new subscribers just based on this. So I don't know what you mean. Did they just kill Netflix? You have to explain yourself.
Yeah,
you have to
yeah,
explain what
please.
you mean by that, because I don't think so at all. All right, what's next?
From Reviewed by Nick. I hate Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was not nominated for Best Picture. And where was Air?
Oh, yeah, Air.
Yeah, listen,
We kind of said Air was going to be overlooked.
like, I think we all knew Air was going to get overlooked. Which is too bad, because it's definitely, I didn't make a top 10, but Air would definitely be in my top 10 best films of the year.
And I
loved it.
kind of felt Iron Claw too was going to be
Yeah.
overlooked.
I knew Iron Claw
For some
wouldn't.
categories, I was a little like, okay.
But I mean, it was a wonderful movie. I didn't really think it was going to get a lot of Oscar attention, but I enjoyed it a lot. But yeah, Air is one that I would have given a little bit more attention to. All right, what's next?
From CJ Rebirth, finally saw Treasure Planet last week, and I enjoyed it. Some really beautiful animation, a young Joseph Gordon-Levitt voicing the main character, and emotional stuff between Jim Hawkins and Silver. You've got the makings of greatness in you.
What
You know
is that movie?
Treasure Planet is one of those ones that it doesn't hold a special place in my heart. It's one of those movies that I saw and then I forgot.
I didn't see it till the pandemic.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you think about it?
I liked it, but it was also, oh yeah, this was good. It didn't blow my mind.
Oh, animated. It's an animated.
Yeah.
See, I put it on the same level as that because I brought it up before the show.
Atlantis?
The Atlantis one
Yeah.
that Michael J. Fox does. I kind of put it on the same level as that one. It's like, okay, it was a fine thing.
I
but
really want a live action Atlantis, though.
I've heard a lot of people say
I
that
want
that
that
one
so
should be
much.
translated.
It'd be
Yeah.
great.
All right, what's next?
From Antonio, what's one Best Picture nominee you'd be okay excluding, and one film you think deserved to be added to the mix?
Well, I mean, obviously, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. To me, it was the best movie of the year. I'm not going to say who I'd pull off the list for it. It's just suffice it to say there's probably about 4 or 5 I would. Like, obviously, I wouldn't bump Oppenheimer off it. I wouldn't bump Barbie off it. I wouldn't bump, Killers of the Flower Moon off it. But, yeah, there were 4 or 5. I won't name them, though, but I would probably bump a lot of them. All right, what's next?
I'm just saying, like, that whole list will be blank because I only seen like a couple of those films. I would pull many of them off.
From Laura Howard, what are your thoughts on a reimagined Commando? It was one of my favorite Arnold movies. Rewatching recently and still good. Cheesy, but fun.
Define reimagined.
Remember when I said I'd kill you last? That's what you did. I lied. with the little baby girl, Alyssa Milano. Right here. I loved Commando. I don't know if you can make movies like that anymore today.
With Reacher, he's obviously the guy that
You know
picked to
what?
cast as Commando.
You know what? That is the perfect answer. You're right. That answers it. You can make that because that's essentially what Reacher is. Listen, I mentioned the other day that the reason Reacher is to me so watchable, and I think it is so watchable to a lot of people, is because there's something viscerally satisfying to us as the audience seeing a big, powerful good guy beating the living shit out of a rotten bad guy. We love it. And that's really what Reacher is. Drug lord, bang. Guy carjacking a car with a kid in it, bang. You know, it's just, there's something really about that. And maybe, I don't know, maybe.
But he's not there yet, John. Because like Arnold and Stallone back then, you attach their name to it. I'm already seeing it. Like, I was fooled by Cobra because I watched Rambo and all that other stuff, and then I watched Cobra because Stallone was attached to it. I had my dad rent it. I was like, "Who is this man?" And I just
But you know,
like,
it does. I don't think it has anything to do with Alan Richardson. I think it's about that. I think maybe because my initial thought was, no, you can't make movies like that today. But you know what? I think you're right. I think Reacher proves you can bring back those 80s style action films. That's just a tough good guy just beating the hell out of a lot of bad guys. And I think that's what were Stallone movies or Schwarzenegger movies, if not that. So I think I might be down for that. All right. What's next?
From Matt says, hello. Hey, John and gang. I've read that Vanessa Kirby is a lock for Sue Storm. Do you think there'll be any issue with the age gap with Pedro being 15 years older?
No.
A leading lady 15 years younger than her leading man?
Yeah, that's called
How
Tuesday.
controversial. Yeah.
That's called Tuesday in Hollywood.
It's
All the time.
It's not. And besides, they can simply say, they can even just say there's a 5-year age gap between them if they want. I mean, you literally had 30-year-olds playing high school students in 90210, so it doesn't really not that big a deal. I am not 100% sure Vanessa Kirby's 100% locked for that.
There's a lot of 100% in that last.
I still, I had heard a long time ago that, why am I forgetting her name from Free Guy?
Jodie Comer?
Jodie Comer. I heard a long time ago it was going to be Jodie Comer. So I'm still thinking it might be her. Maybe.
Kirby was in Dead Reckoning, right?
Yes.
I really liked her in that
She's
movie.
great.
She has that look right there.
She's fantastic. I love her. She's absolutely fabulous. So, and if she is our Sue Storm, I'm all down for it. 100% I'm down for it. I still think there's a chance. So again, this is just me as a fan. I'm just saying, I still think there's a chance it's going to be Jodie Comer, but we'll see. All right, what's next?
From Culture Wars Diplomacy, hot take. Highlander 2 would be a better movie if it wasn't Highlander 2. A similar script, but its own unique franchise. And movie that you thought failed because it didn't keep promises made, like calling a movie by a franchise name that just wasn't.
See, I don't know that I agree with that. Like, so for instance, let's take Indiana Jones and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That is a movie that I think if it's called Dr. Alan Quatermain and the Adventures in the Jungle, and it's essentially the same movie, but it's not Indiana Jones, I think that movie's not that bad. I just didn't think it was a good Indiana Jones movie. The Highlander 2 is truly an awful film, whatever way you cut it. Like whatever, like whether they just took off the Highlander branding and called it The Adventures of the Escaped Immortal Prisoners from Planet Yexon. It's still a really bad movie. Like again, Indiana Jones Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, not terrible, if not seen as an Indiana Jones movie. Pretty terrible as an Indiana Jones movie. I don't think that applies to Highlander 2. But, I mean, I don't know. Listen, admittedly, it's been a while since I've watched Highlander 2.
Go back, John.
Right?
Go back.
It's time to return.
It's time to take that ride back into.
And so maybe I would feel differently, but I have a hard time imagining
And
that
thus
being
the
the case.
third principle would be broken.
Completely ignored our request.
All right, what's next?
From Alex Von Gollum, hey everyone, to me the biggest surprise is Greta not getting Best Director nomination. I don't think it's a complete snub since she didn't have a real chance of winning, and on the other hand, who would you take out to let her in? seems to me that all nominations are well deserved. It was a very crowded category, which is the
Yeah.
crux of winning an Oscar.
And that's the thing. That's what I mentioned earlier. When I look at the list, there is nobody I would bump out for Greta Gerwig. And once again, there are 5 directors who directed Best Picture nominated films that are not nominated for Best Director. And that's just part of the reality of it. Greta deserves to have her film nominated for Best Picture. Greta deserves her nomination for Best Screenplay. And I would have been okay if she had gotten a Best Director nomination, but I think the 5 that are there deserve it in front of her. There might have even been a 6th that I would have put it in front of her. Again, I'm saying she is absolutely a top 10 best directing out of the hundreds of films that came out this year. She is a top 10 best directing performance of the year. No doubt. I just don't think she's top 5. That's all. That's just me. And I really like her work a lot. And she's got Oscar nomination. She's been nominated for Best Director before. She'll get more. She will get more. All right, what's next?
From Top Gun Manny, hello team. Do you remember which actor or movie role first made you realize what an Oscar-worthy performance looked like? Ooh. That's a great question, but man.
No, it's
Yeah.
a great question.
Yeah, that is a crazy one to think about, actually.
Because I remember, like, to your point, when we came out of Oppenheimer for the first time, I said, Robert Downey Jr. is getting a Best Supporting Actor nomination for this,
Yeah.
right? Like, you just knew. You knew.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can remember the first time I had that. I mean, it happens every year for all of us, but I can't remember the first time that happened for me.
The same movie, after we watched it, as soon as the credits went up, I just whispered, and I didn't mean to say it out loud, but it just came out. I said, this is the best movie of the year.
Yeah.
I just said that, like, really.
And it was a
underneath my breath.
3-hour movie that you did
And I
not
was
fall
like-
asleep in.
That's the best movie of the year. And I just, like, was just clapping. I was like, that is the best movie of the year. Come on.
I mean, because I was a little kid in the 80s, so I wasn't really like, oh, yes, Oscar worthy. So it would have been further into the 90s, but I would say maybe like Roberto Bernini and Life is
Life is
Beautiful. where I was
Beautiful.
like, yeah. Or Schindler's List, you know. That's when I kind of became aware of performance. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we got time for one more question today. What's our last question today?
Last question comes from Mr. Hank Dunn. Was so great to see Open Mic come back last night. Don't get me wrong, I love the main show, but really love the laid back nature of Open Mic.
Yeah, I mean, like, we hadn't done an open mic in almost a month because I went up to Canada for the Christmas holidays. I came back, I was hospitalized because I got so sick, and I'm still fighting the cough. Like, you can probably hear me that I've got lozenges in my mouth as we're doing the show and everything. But finally this week I felt like I can get, but even doing the main show, I get to stop talking and somebody else talks and I can pop another Halls. I can take a drink of my hot chocolate. I can do all, or
You said pop holes.
I can turn my microphone off.
Right.
I can turn my mic off. So I usually when my mic
remember
goes
to
off
turn it
because
back
I
on.
start coughing. But this week I kind of felt like it was very, very daunting to me to try to do an open mic where it's just me talking for an hour straight. And this week I feel like I'm not 100%, but I felt like I was up to it. And it was really, I had a great time doing open mic last night. And again, we're going to do another one today. So I hope many of you will join me for that later this afternoon. All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those questions. Number one, because you gave us fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Again, don't forget, open mic will be in a couple hours from now. I hope you guys will come back just to hang out and talk about our favorite things. Till then, I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora, Jonathan Voico,
Later.
Chris Carr.
Bye, everybody.
My name is John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.